Updating your project schedule is crucial, but you have to be smart about collecting data and updating your project status. That way, team members aren't overburdened with status reporting, and you can update your schedule without spending too much time. Well, the first thing to think about is what information you're going to use to update your project. Well, if you're manually updating your project file, you really want to update tasks, not assignments. That way, you have fewer things to update. It also helps to have a table set up with all the fields that you update. So I'm going to apply a table that I created specifically for updating. On the View tab, click Tables, and you can see under the Custom heading, there's an Updates table. So I'm going to apply that. Well, the first column after the task name is Actual Start. And that makes sense because when you start to update tasks, the very first thing you're going to put in is the actual start date. But then after that, the next two fields are Actual Duration and Remaining Duration. And that's an easy way to update tasks. Basically, you say how much duration has been done and how much is left to do. You can also use % complete and remaining duration because it calculates the same things. One thing about using duration is it really is tracking work days. So if you want a little bit finer resolution, you can also use actual work and remaining work, and that way you track down to the hour. There are also a few options that you want to set in Project before you update. So to do that, go to the File tab and click Options. The first setting is in the Schedule category. Scroll down to the Scheduling Options for this project section and take a look at Split in Progress Tasks. It's turned on by default, and you want to keep it that way. That means if there are gaps in when the work gets done, you'll see that reflected in your project file. Then scroll down to Calculation Options for this project. The first setting is Updating Task Status updates resource status. If you are updating tasks and not assignments, you want this checkbox turned on. That tells Project to take the values you enter for the task and roll them down to the individual resource assignments. On the other hand, if you're going to update resource assignments, you want to turn this checkbox off. The rest of the options are in the Advanced category. So click Advanced and then scroll down to the bottom. It's the Calculation Options for this project section. Now these checkboxes have really long labels, so they might look a little intimidating, but they're actually pretty easy to understand. The first one you want to turn on. That's Move End of Completed Parts after status date back to the status date. What that's really saying is if work's completed and it's after the status date, that's saying that the work was done in the future, which you know can't happen. So by turning on this checkbox, Project will move all the completed work to occur in the past. The next checkbox, and Move Start of Remaining Parts back to status date. What that's really doing, if you turn that on, is it takes anything that's incomplete and moves it so it starts at the status date. So in effect, what you're going to see is a task that starts and without a gap goes to its finish. So you can turn that on. The next setting, Move Start of Remaining Parts before the status date forward to status date. You want that turned on because what that's doing is it's saying that work that's incomplete, that's scheduled before the status date, that is in the past, well, it's not going to get done in the past anymore. So you want to move it forward to the status date so it's scheduled to occur in the future. And then the last checkbox, and Move End of Completed Parts forward to status date. You can turn that on or leave it off. It's really up to you. If you turn it on, it'll show the taskbar without any gaps. Well, once the options are all set, click OK. Now, before you start updating, you have to give a status date. So go to the Project tab, click the button for status date, and choose the status date you want. In this case, I'll use Friday, September 26th. Now you can make updating a lot easier by looking at just the tasks that you want to update. So the first thing you might want to do is turn off the summary tasks because you don't update those. You're just going to update work tasks. So go to the Format tab and turn off the Summary Tasks checkbox. You also don't need to update completed tasks, so you can apply a filter to just show incomplete tasks. go to the View tab, click the Filter down arrow, and then choose Incomplete Tasks on the menu. And now you can see all the work tasks in the project that aren't complete, and you might update them. Well, there are several different situations when it comes to updates. The first one is the easiest one, and that's a task that's completely on track. It occurred just as you planned. So we'll use Hire Contractors to show this one. You select the task, go to the Task tab. Then in the Schedule section, simply click Mark on Track. And now you can see the percent complete is 100%. The taskbar is sitting right where it was scheduled, but it's showing as complete. Another situation is a task that's complete, but didn't occur according to schedule. So to see this one, I'll choose Finalize Lease. In this case, go to Mark on Track, but click the down arrow and choose Update Tasks. And now you can see the Update Tasks dialog box, and it has a variety of fields that you can fill in to specify the status on that task. In this case, we'll put in 12 days for actual duration, and the task is complete, so the remaining duration is 0 days. Well, the original duration was 10 days, so this one is running a little bit longer than scheduled, but it is complete. When I click OK, you can see over in the timescale that the dark blue progress bars show that it's complete, but it does push it out because it did take extra time. Now, another situation is a task that's not complete and it's not going according to plan. That could be ahead of or behind schedule. We'll use Inventory Office for this example. So I select the task, go up to Mark on Track, click the down arrow, and choose Update Tasks again. In this case, the scheduled duration is 25 days. In this case, the actual duration is 10 days, and the remaining duration is 8 days. So it's going to take a shorter duration than planned. Now when I click OK, over in the timescale, you can see that the progress bar goes to the status date, and the incomplete work is scheduled to start right after the status date. I'm going to use the Identify Additional Cost tasks to show one other update. I go to Mark on Track and open the Update Tasks dialog box one more time. Right now, percent complete is set at 65%, but when I change the actual duration to 20 days and the remaining duration to 5 days, well, 20 days out of 25 days are done, so that's 80%. So look what happens when I click OK. Project recalculates the percent complete to 80%. Now there's one last way to do an update, and that's for really quick and dirty updates. It's not very accurate, but it is fast, so it's an option if you want to use it. I'll select Inventory Office again. And to show how this works, what you do is you right-click the taskbar in the timescale, and then you see the shortcut menu that has buttons for different levels of percent complete. And I can just click a button, and it'll change it to 75% complete. After you decide what status info you need to track, you can make updating your schedule easier with some simple setup steps in Project. Then you can update tasks in Project using the update method you prefer.